Hey guys, what's going on? It's been a while since I posted anything, but much like we did for
Yeah.
Broly, makes a lot of sense for us to meet back and talk about superhero, even though it's late, right? So that's what we're doing. With me, I have the same cast as last time. Little Wolf and Big Wolf are both here,
Yep.
and
Hey,
we,
Co's here too.
yep, Ko is also
Hey.
here too. Ko was with us, I think, last time we spoke, but I don't, I
Yep.
don't,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you guys think? Let's start like overall tone, right, of the movie.
Yeah.
What do you how do you guys feel this stacks up in comparison to like Broly a few years ago?
Ooh, Broly movie had more hype.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
You're
it's a lot more gravity for Broly. This was just a fun, throwback to some of our favorite characters that weren't as important in the Broly movie.
Right.
this one felt a lot more cartoony, but that was definitely like the vibe they were going for. So sort of, I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right. And I think that they, for what it's worth, I think they did a pretty good job. Going into the movie, there was a lot of talk, especially online, right, like in social media, about how they decided to go with the art direction, and it's definitely like CGI, right?
Yeah.
It's
I guess
full
how do you feel about
CGI.
the new art style?
I think when you when you watch the movie, the art style, it looks good. I think if we're talking like the CGI of superhero versus Broly, the CGI that makes up the entirety of superhero is just so much better. It really is.
Hmm.
It's way better. But I don't think it's as good as the hand drawn parts
Yeah.
of Broly, right? Broly
Yep.
is like the magnum opus piece for modern day Dragon Ball. I think as like if you go back and you watch that movie, it looks fantastic. The only time it really looks off is when CGI is introduced into it.
Hmm.
CGI isn't a problem here, right? CGI it works very much well with how the character looks. I think all the characters look great. Piccolo has the most screen time. He always looks good, right? Uh, they definitely did the best that they can given the art direction, and I think it's a good choice. I don't mind them going in this direction if it's easier for them. Um, but I do think that in terms of how the movie is structured, and the fight scenes, that maybe the CGI isn't the best option in terms of like how good they could really come out and how good it looks. This movie throws back a lot, like constantly. It's constantly calling back to previous stuff that happened in the series or in the manga, and this is mostly a Piccolo-driven story. Gohan is not in the movie a lot, and much like the Dragon Ball movies of old, especially BoJack and Wrath of the Dragon and um, maybe even the Cooler movie. Uh, it
He was also in a lot of like the was it the Dead Zone movies? He was pretty important. A few of them.
right. But I think that this movie follows the same Dragon Ball movie trope of old in the way that a lot of the action and a lot of what people are waiting for doesn't happen until the very end, and it's like a few minutes of screen time at most, right? It doesn't take up the majority. A lot of the movie, most of the movie, 75+% of it is setting up for the last fight. The last fight doesn't last very long, especially when Gohan transforms. You get like a minute of that, a minute and a half of that.
He literally only does two things in the new form.
He does the
He
the Super Saiyan 2
he
Gohan
stands
kick.
still, kicks him, and then
He does.
blasts him away.
He acts. Listen, every single movement aside from the special beam cannon is just Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. The transformation scene with the red line cutting through, him actually transforming, the stance, the standing there, the kick in the stomach to Cell, right? All shit he did to the first Cell. And that's my biggest, I think that's my biggest gripe with this movie is the lack of originality. I think that there are definitely a few ways that they could have gone around mm, this whole thing and still make it a callback to Super Saiyan 2 Gohan's transformation, right? You didn't need to, first of all, have Cell in it. Um, and the Dragon
I actually
Balls,
was gonna ask you what you thought of Cell Max.
I think that Cell Max is a horrible waste. Um,
I agree
I
with you
agree also.
because I feel like Cell Max is like when you get evil Superman somewhere, where it's like you just have the obstacle of this like really powerful thing, but none of like with evil Superman you have none of like what makes Superman Superman there. You just want him there for
Cell
the obstacle.
is the
Cell
most
Max had
Right.
none of the
intelligent.
abilities, none of the regeneration, none of like the
Yeah.
bad characteristics of our heroes that made him fun. Like I like that he had Vegeta's pride. He was like Goku. He won the tournament. He was also like
Right.
I don't know. He
No,
was
no,
like
no.
kind of like
There-
Frieza, wanted to be a destroyer and
Yeah.
like just travel the galaxy. So
Ruin
those
shit.
were good. And
Yeah.
none of it was Cell Max. He was Godzilla.
And the thing, really about Cell that you lose here, I think the biggest thing about Cell that you lose here, and you know, given what you'd said, we lose a lot of what makes the character good. But the biggest loss to Cell here is the fact that he is the most intelligent villain in Dragon Ball. The way he spoke, his voice acting was very, very good. And it's still very, very good in the games. There's no reason why we had to have the plot structured this way. So I propose, right? Here's how we could have done it. Instead of saying, why don't we wish the dragon to call upon Guru's awakening for Piccolo, right? Instead of giving the wrong idea, like Piccolo doesn't deserve a power up on his own right, like he should have been able to work for that and show it off. Uh, Aside from that, we could have had the Red Ribbon guys get the Dragon Balls and wish for Cell back, and we could have had a voice acted Cell that was
Yeah,
stronger,
that would-
right? We could have done that. We could have had him like let him train for a few days, like Frieza trained for 1 day in the 2 days in the hyperbolic time chamber, and now he's
I
Black
did
Frieza,
9
right?
push-ups. I'm now Golden Frieza.
Exactly. We could have done that with Cell. You can get away
Yeah.
with this shit because
Yeah.
he's an android. You can make up different things. But we
Yeah.
decided to go with a really weird decision to have Piccolo instead. And I get it, right? The good guys always get the Dragon Balls. It doesn't need to be this way every single time, though. It would have made
I'm
more
inter-
sense the other way.
What interested me was they actually broke 2 rules of the dragon when they did that. One is you can't wish to be stronger, because they've talked about that before. But I thought what they were doing with the using the Namekian thing was like a cool workaround, where technically you're not making someone stronger, you're bringing out inner potential, so that's sort of like strength they already had.
Yeah,
But then
it's the
Shenron says and
workaround.
more, and it's like, oh, here's another super. Like, okay, you're
Listen, my Namekian brother. You're the
never
reason
mind, you're
I
not
exist.
smart.
Here
You're
you
not
go.
like skirting the line. You're just crossing it. The other one is they said like, oh, you could wish to get rid of the Red Ribbon Army, and they've established that you can't just call up Shenron to kill somebody.
Right.
Shenron
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, So I was kind of it weirded me out that they just like kind of broke both those rules. Or
Yeah,
they
it was just
didn't
a
technically
really
break the-
weird
but they just
inclusion.
said they could. They broke
Even
one.
with the
Yeah.
upgrade.
It's just a strange inclusion when you could have just wished Cell back,
Yeah.
and you could have solved a
Yeah.
lot of problems. You wouldn't have had this
I honestly I
mindless-
like your solution for it because sort of Cell. If they're bringing in Cell Max, they clearly just wanted to have Cell on the poster or some like way to get people in
I
the
mean,
movie
Piccolo
theater.
didn't even die. He just got beat up a little bit, and Gohan
Yeah.
just boom, new form, didn't train for it at all. Didn't even give a fuck about what was going on most of the movie. Does Gohan deserve that, like, on his own right? Why doesn't Piccolo, who works for it, we know he trains and meditates, why doesn't he deserve a transformation in his own fucking right that he worked for? Why couldn't he work for this? Why couldn't we just say, oh, like the Saiyans, the Namekians, we've achieved a new evolution, right? Piccolo is that strong. He's obviously the strongest Namekian that's ever fucking lived.
Yeah,
So,
we
what's the
just
problem?
needed Piccolo like fighting, thinking he has to save the world on his own and pushing himself and going gold.
Right.
And
I
then
don't
like,
understand.
how would he do that?
Why
and
did
then
we do
Dende
this?
pops out of nowhere and says, "For you see, you're not dealing with the average Namekian warrior.
God.
He has risen
Yeah.
above and
Oh my
become
God.
legend.
So I do like the new Piccolo form, and I like the new Gohan form. Aside from the fact that his hair
I
is
do
way too
like them
big.
too. I don't want this to all be negative because
Right.
I did enjoy the movie.
Yeah,
Like
the movie's a
if to
good
me
movie.
Broly was a 10 out of 10, this was like an 8 out of 10. I
Yeah, I
still
agree
had a
with
lot.
that.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree
just
with that
fun.
a lot. I think
So,
this is a solid 8
I don't
out
want
of
to
10.
just like sound negative the whole time.
There's a lot here for longtime Dragon Ball fans, and
Yeah.
there's a lot here for Dragon Ball fans who
Yeah.
just started getting on the train to watch
There's-
Super. You know, like there's a lot
there
here
is-
for everyone.
Yeah.
So
So I guess what was your favorite part about it? Let's be positive for a
I
sec.
think my favorite part of the movie was the middle chunk where we get to see Piccolo's life in his house. He's trying to use a cell phone. He's got all these plushies. He's turned into Pan's babysitter. He knows her teacher on a first name basis, right? You know, it's
Yeah.
all these funny little tiny these little tiny details that really make it that like Piccolo is he's not, you know, when Piccolo was introduced lonely fighting with Goku and you know, and he first takes
Yeah.
Gohan under his wing, and we get to see that whole development with him and Gohan, but it's now transcended Gohan, right? Like Piccolo is a part of that family, and that's really cool to see. I like seeing that a lot. I like the idea that, you know, this big grumpy guy has a soft spot in his heart for this patch of humans. That
And
is
it
And the
makes
best
sense
ring
that he's
tone.
doing this with Pan because of basically that's what happened with Gohan. Then he ended up training Goten and Trunks. Like he's very much like constantly raising the next generation, and it's nice to kind of see that. But they included a little bit of more of his slice of life in there, of just like his day to day. He is kind of training slash babysitting. He's still there for Gohan, but more focused on training other
Pan,
people because
right.
Gohan's not really interested.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotta see Pan in the full Namekian outfit next movie.
And it's a really cool dichotomy for Piccolo's character because Piccolo didn't have any of that, right? He was born into
Yeah.
the world alone. He had no one to raise him and teach him. He learned as much from Gohan as Gohan learned from him, but just in a different way.
Piccolo is the father he wishes he had.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I like that there's a lot of cool little tiny touches, the heartwarming
Yeah.
touches. Those are
Yeah.
the best parts of this movie. The scene with Broly integrating with Goku and Vegeta because he is one
Yeah.
of their lot. He's one of their lot. He is of the same
I'm
cloth.
glad
He's
they,
older than
they kept
Goku.
that from the ending of Super
Right.
Broly, that they are training together.
Yeah. I hope that they, you know, definitely make use of his character. People want to see him. You know he'll sell. So use him. Use him, bring him in. We need fresh new blood, right? This part of the best thing this movie did was make it so that it's not only the Goku and Vegeta show anymore. We have other people who could fight and actually hold the candle, and their power makes sense because they were just powered up. We didn't just say, "Oh yeah, no, Krillin could definitely hold his own against Blue Goku." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he beat Mystic Gohan or something like that. I forgot what it was.
Please, dude.
I don't think it was Mystic. But
Listen, Krillin
yeah.
could never. I don't care how smart Krillin is. Blue Goku would fucking absolutely railroad him. Not even thinking about it, and I don't want to act like he wouldn't, right? I don't. We shouldn't have to jump through hoops for that, right? We shouldn't have to.
But what if? Hear me out. He sneaks up behind Goku, and we give him a laser gun because that seems to work now and then.
Yeah, right. And it works in realm of what is that movie? Resurrection of F. That's
Yeah.
I'm thinking Realm of Gods because I play
Yeah.
Dokkan still
Yeah.
for some reason. But Resurrection of F, like he got shot in there, yeah. And I do miss, you know, just the best scenes in Dragon Ball Z are really well hand drawn animated scenes. We're
Yeah.
never gonna get back to that. It's not gonna happen. But Broly did a really good job.
I was gonna
And
say
if
like
they
Broly's
decide-
a lot of that.
But if they decide to go in this route where they're like doing this animation from now on in the movies, I don't really mind it either.
I kind of
What
hope we
about
get a mix. I kind of hope like maybe we get kind of like how what was it? Call of Duty would have like one team do a game one year and then the other team does the next year and stuff
Right.
like that. I'm kind of hoping we get like all right, this is the hand drawn year, and then there's the 3D year, and then there's the hand, and like this kind of
Well, the Broly movie was directed
switch them up like that.
the Broly movie was directed by the guy who normally directs the One Piece movies, and that's why it looked as good as it did. Let's be honest. I'm not a One Piece fan.
Ko
I'm
and
not
I
a big One
actually
Piece
just
fan.
finished One Piece. Like we're caught up on the anime.
That's
They
crazy.
are feeding their animators something crazy because this whole last arc has looked movie quality. So
Really?
it does not surprise me that
I'm
that's why
thinking that
Broly
I'm
was
gonna
so good.
watch. Aren't there like a bunch of like catch-up movies I could watch that'll like catch me up to the point
No,
where-
not at all. But
That's awesome.
I'll hook you up
Really
with
cool.
One Piece. Somebody like crazy people decided to make Dragon Ball Kai for One Piece, and
Oh,
it is a
thank
lot
God.
faster.
Please.
Yeah, I'll hook you up with that.
Please. Oh my, thank you. Anyway, let's
It
not
is-
talk about
it-
One Piece on the
Yeah, let's go back to
I was
Alright,
please.
here's a question I've been saving. What did you think of the music? And I think I already know the answer.
It's so much better than Broly's music.
Yeah, it's big improvement.
I didn't have to hear.
I don't
Gamma!
remember a
Gamma!
single song
I don't
from
either.
this movie.
I
It's
don't
to me,
either.
it's like the most forgettable track.
It's forgettable, and I'll give you that. It is
Like
definitely.
that's what I mean. Like Broly, you may not like the hype man, like yo, bro, like kind
I'll
of stuff.
I'll
but
give it to you.
You remember that. You
I'll give
remember
it to
that
you.
song.
I definitely remember it.
No
It's not for the
Dragon.
right reasons. Okay? It's not for. I don't remember it for the right reasons. But I do remember it.
The metal, like freeze, a freeze. Like you remember that.
I remembered that. Yes.
I don't remember a single
right.
score.
This is
from
a lot
this
of
movie.
background. I think it's
Like
a
the
lot
scores
of
were
just background
fine, but
music.
I just don't remember them. Like none stood out like that. The what do you think of Gamma? Like the 1 and 2?
I like them.
I think they're great.
Superhero.
I think their personalities are a trope. Like, yeah, we can't have two guys with the same personality, so we'll make one serious
Yeah.
and one goofy. And I think Gamma 2 is really fucking annoying. I really do. I really think he's annoying. But I think they did a good
He's the
job.
one that,
I think overall they're good mid-level villains that aren't, they serve as a kind of fake out, right?
Yeah.
I think they're good. They're fine.
Yeah. I thought they were fine. There was one thing that I was hoping to see in this movie. It would have been really easy to do, but they just kind of didn't. I would have liked that whole scene where Gohan is like fighting Gamma and they're going back and forth of like, you're the evil side. No, you are. But I would have loved to see them do that with Gohan as Saiyaman. Just like both of them thinking they're the superhero and like the Spider-Man's like pointing at each other. Like, what? No, you.
Yeah.
Like I thought it'd be
They're
like a
both
great
excellent,
opportunity to like throw Saiyaman into a superhero Dragon Ball Z movie.
Yeah, it's kind of
Even if
weird
it was
for
just temporary.
for a movie that's called Dragon Ball, superhero. You expect to see some Saiyaman shenanigans, and
Right?
yeah, none of that. Like,
I
it's
like
weird.
that the bad guys became good guys, like, what
Yeah.
happens in Dragon Ball Z, besides with Cell.
Well, Cell was a mindless,
Yeah.
Though, he wasn't
Frankenstein
even
monster.
completed, though, right? They rushed
He wasn't
him.
completed. He was a mindless
He had
Frankenstein
no
monster.
voice box.
Wait, and you know what? That reminds me. Really weird how Gohan goes ultimate. There's a Saiyan's fighting this thing. Why didn't Goten and Trunks even go Super Saiyan? What the? Never mind.
Yeah, it was.
yeah,
They didn't go Super Saiyan in the fight, and they like. Okay, I
They
was
never
really,
do
really
anymore.
happy that we got like somewhat aged up Goten and Trunks.
But they
I've
didn't
been
do anything. So
praying for that for a while, but then they just kept blue balling us with like
over and over
the
again.
Gotenks fails, and then
Yeah.
they do it again, but they don't show it. I'm like, come on, just give
Yeah.
us Goten.
Awful. And then,
Pure
like I
comedy.
said while we were watching, like Krillin's just getting smaller and smaller. Soon he'll cease to
Yeah.
exist. Soon he's gonna be Jiminy
well,
Cricket sized, and he'll just be
Keep
hanging
in
out on
mind, he
Gohan's
has the
shoulder.
Benjamin Button disease where he ages in reverse. And he's just getting
yes.
tinier and tinier here.
Next movie, he'll just be riding on Piccolo's shoulder. Like, yep, this is normal. The Krillin's always been this size. Really weird. But we have Ultimate Gohan, Piccolo. We have 18 Krillin. We have Goten and Trunks. Everyone's strong, stronger than Super Saiyan 2. Fighting Cell, who's not a complete Cell, who was remade.
Stronger.
Cell
And,
Max.
and and yes, they beat him, But when he puffs up and explodes at the end, remember in the anime, Cell was like, "I'm gonna explode. I'm
back,
gonna
yeah.
blow up the whole planet. We gotta." And then Goku sacrifices himself and teleports, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
This Cell
teleports
couldn't
to King
blow
Kai's
up
planet.
the Earth. This
Yeah.
Cell couldn't blow up
Didn't
the
feel
Earth.
like it.
Yeah, well, I don't think that what was happening was designed to destroy the Earth. Like when Cell was blowing himself up, he wanted to kind of take everyone with him.
But
With this
maybe
time,
Hedo
it was
didn't
designed
make
to
it that
destroy
way.
Cell.
He
This
had a
was like
bomb.
the failsafe.
He had a bomb built into him.
Hmm
Yeah.
As a failsafe, exactly.
Yeah. It just kind of
But
rubs me
yeah.
the wrong way that we weren't worried about the
Yeah.
size of that explosion at all.
I know. I think they just have to ignore that problem because people have been Planet Busters 9 transformations ago,
Yeah.
and at this point, like, what was it in?
Just stop trying to act
Yeah.
like it's a problem that the world is gonna blow up and people forget about it. You know.
Yeah,
You gotta.
it's just one of those things. Like you
Yeah.
just have to be like, oh, thank God that missed the
I
planet.
mean, these
like,
guys were blowing up moons and shit fucking years
Yeah.
ago. Like, what? Where are we
the
at
first
now?
Broly movie, I think a Super Saiyan Broly could destroy South Galaxy, like all of it.
That's ridiculous.
Uh,
We're not there.
And now we're like,
we're just not
yeah,
there
we're
right
we're
now.
way beyond that. Like we
so-
gotta just pretend it's not a problem.
What
Probably
is
not
power
talking about it
scaling?
is yeah, power scale. I mean, even talking about power scaling is kind of the biggest waste of time because they clearly don't give a fuck about power scaling themselves.
Yeah.
But you know, it's something that it was a big part of Dragon Ball Z. That's why people talk about it. You know, like it was a big deal in Z.
Yeah, well, they did power scaling well in Z, then they just stopped caring about it, so I think the more we think about it, the less it matters.
Kind of seems that way.
Yeah.
But
But,
I
yeah.
definitely can't be convinced that Krillin will ever beat up UI Goku. So don't try me. Don't try me. It's never
What
gonna
about when he gets the Krillin
Jesus.
power up?
happen. Yeah, when we
When his
unlock
head
his
actually
latent
becomes the
potential.
6-star Dragon Ball, and he unlocks his hidden potential.
Gotta
I've been a
absorb you.
Dragon Ball the whole time, guys. I can grant wishes. I wasn't useless, I promise.
Just rub his forehead 3
Right.
times.
They've tried giving him hair. I don't know what they're gonna
We
do.
don't like Krillin with hair.
What will they do next?
Make him a police officer.
I think it
Mhm.
makes sense that he's a
Patch.
police officer because, you know, he's a human and he's definitely the strongest
Yeah.
human. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I do like Police Officer Krillin.
I don't, you know, think that, you know, we need Krillin to jump into any fights. He's not contributing in any meaningful way.
Yeah, I guess how do you feel with them powering up their old characters versus like forgetting the old characters? Because we've kind of seen both happen.
Yeah.
You've seen people kind of become irrelevant throughout the Cell and into the like Boo saga, and a lot of some people were irrelevant, but they tried to kind of
Well, is anyone asking
bring some of
like,
the old cast.
is anyone
back.
asking for a Yamcha power up? I
Where
don't
was
think anyone's
Yamcha?
asking
Yeah,
for
I
that.
want to see the Wolf Fang Fist.
I don't think anyone
Kill
is asking
Jiren.
for a Yamcha power up. I don't think you know these things
He
wouldn't
was doing it in
sell.
the movie.
These things would not sell. Not the series, not the movie. A Gohan power up, the potential to Gohan power up, it'll sell your movie.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference, and you know, powering up Krillin isn't gonna sell any movies either. But you can put it in the manga and make it quick. You can put it in the anime and make it quick. Story building is still important for your long-standing series. You don't need to show off this stuff in a movie. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think powering up old characters, even bringing back old characters, is a good idea. I would love to see arcs where Goku finally fucking interacts with his father. But,
Bardock.
you know, like, yeah, I would love that. Bring Bardock back in some capacity. That's less than just, you know, oh, Bardock did this and that, like in the most recent manga iteration. Which is what, you know, his big inclusion was, oh, Bardock did this and that, X, Y, and Z. And then, you know, obviously he's not coming back, but, like, why not bring him back? Why not bring future Gohan back? Why not bring back old characters that people love and want to see? Why not? If you can make a movie where we have to watch fucking Cell Max and his mindless fucking bullshit fight a Gohan that is a powered-up ripoff of Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, why can't you bring back old characters? What's the problem? Where's
I
Cooler?
think it's just
Why
a
wasn't
lot for them
Cooler?
to
Why
balance.
wasn't this a Cooler fucking movie?
This was a Piccolo movie.
You know, like
This
what?
was.
Why wasn't
It was also. It
Cooler
was
the
kind of
bad guy?
marketed like a Gohan movie, but it was very much a Piccolo movie, and I'm
Because a
fine with that.
Piccolo
Like
movie
actually,
wouldn't sell.
Piccolo's the best part of this.
A Piccolo movie would not sell. A Gohan transformation movie sells. It is simple. They marketed. They're not good at marketing, but they did market this movie trying to sell it. You know, even with the new forms and shit after the movie came out, like, oh, there's new forms in the movie. Go see it, even though it's in it for less than a fucking minute. Go see it.
Hmm.
You know, and that'll bring people's ass into the seats. Long-time Dragon Ball fans will go see a Piccolo movie, but it's not gonna grab the whole populace that they're looking for. They're looking for
Yeah,
old,
this is
new,
true.
you know. So the Super Saiyan transformations are hype. They're legendary. They're known in popular media. Uh, you can have never heard of Dragon, you know, just Saiyans in general. You know what a Super Saiyan is. So, uh,
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
Super Saiyans are in Dragon Ball. Like, you know this. So, it's a big thing.
This one kind of hit me like, what was it? Fusion Reborn? Was that the name of the
Yeah. That's
the
the
old?
Gogeta
It's
one?
like it was kind of all the Gogeta one where they sort of like advertised it around like the strongest fusion's coming, and then like it was cool, and you saw like a couple attacks and an explosion, and
But
that was
barely
that.
anything.
It was done.
Yeah.
Like this was the same. There was like the same amount of time for like you got the new Gohan form, and then you
Yeah,
see
I
a
think
couple attacks.
moving forward in these Dragon Ball movies, we should try to get fight scenes to last a little bit longer, see new forms a little bit
I think
more.
Broly was the best.
You
But
know,
that was just like, hey, let's just have
Blue
an hour
Gogeta was
long of fights.
Blue Gogeta lasted a decent amount of time. I didn't walk away from Broly feeling like I didn't get enough Gogeta.
Yeah, that's true too.
I
They
walked
used
away
Gogeta
from
very well.
Superhero feeling like I didn't get enough of Beast Gohan. And
Yeah, because
you
we
know,
only saw 2
we
attacks.
got a decent amount of orange buff Piccolo.
Yeah,
Decent amount of
that's
it.
my favorite part of this. Just
Yeah,
like Buff
and
Piccolo was
we got
great.
enough of we got enough of him. Like I felt satisfied with the amount I saw of him, but not
Mhm.
enough of Gohan.
Also,
There's
side note, I
secretly
like
a
how they
Piccolo
tried
movie.
to use as many Piccolo gimmicks as they could.
Yeah, clothes
You
beam.
see him do clothes beam in the beginning, but you see him use like his giant form in the fight, and then to hold Selmax down, he does like the snake arm.
Yeah, the snake
Like
arm.
I really do like that they were
The
bringing
callback
out
to
like
him
old
holding
gimmicks, too.
the callback
Yeah.
to him holding Cell, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
Goku had held Raditz for him, and now
Mhm.
Gohan's on the other end of the special beam instead of Piccolo. Very cool. Very
Yeah,
very
that was
cool.
good too.
And you know, I didn't really like the fact that he forgot just randomly, oh yeah, that's right, I can go big. Stupid. But
Been a while.
at least he did it, so that's cool. Overall, I definitely think this movie is a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's a good showing. I think it's worth watching. I
Mhm.
enjoyed watching it. I've seen it twice. I saw it once in the movie theater and once illegally online. So, you know, I come out of it like it's definitely nice to have Dragon Ball around. It's nice to have Dragon Ball in the theater. I think it's a good quality movie. For what it's worth, it's very, very decent. It's much better than one would be led to believe not knowing anything about it, right? And just watching the trailers. Watching the trailers doesn't really do it too much justice. It's a good movie. It did
Yeah,
make
definitely.
the most money. It made more money than Broly.
That's
Really?
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy.
Really?
It made more
Think about
money opening, worldwide than Broly did. So, not for nothing. They're moving in a positive direction. Hopefully, the next movie will follow more of the Broly route in terms of, let's get a fight going and let that be the movie. Because that's what Dragon Ball should be. That's what people are watching Dragon Ball for, is the fighting. World building is great. Leave that for the manga and the anime. Let's get fights in these movies, and let's get long-standing fights with good forms and good choreography, and you can't go fucking wrong. You'll just make so much money. I watched,
That's true.
like movies like Jujutsu Kaisen 0. It wasn't like a spectacular movie or anything, but the fight scenes were incredible, and that's what's going to keep people coming back. So, uh, I don't think the best route is for them to follow the whole, oh, this this form comes up and the ending of the fight is a minute. No, drag it out a little more next time. That's my biggest gripe for the whole movie.